All right, I'm going walking on my, what is this, second day home? I may not do this every day, but every time I get out to go walking, I have some type of an idea or a topic that I was thinking about earlier, and this kind of concerning me. And again, I'm making these videos as it's good if you can relate to it or if it makes any sense to you, but mainly it's a chronicle for me. I have that hernia that's been that was successfully fixed from, it was an umbilical and ventral post VSG. You guys know all about that if you've watched this channel. That has damaged. It's opening up a little bit more so that corners are a little wider. And it's pretty much stable now. I don't feel any pain in it anymore. And I don't go back to see the doctor for it for 2 weeks. But I just had that heart attack. And so when they told me that I was going to be on blood thinners, and then one of my big concerns is watch out for cuts and bleeding out, stuff like that. You know, I got to be really careful. So it made me think, I never damage my hernia on purpose. It's always a accident. And I want to guesstimate that between now and 3 years ago, whenever it was completely healed and I damaged it the first time, and then recently I just damaged it the second time. So it's almost like there's about a 2-year period. Every 2 years I damage it a little more, hopefully not sooner than that. But when it does damage, it feels like a tear, like a very small micro tear. I'd say a 1/16 of an inch on each corner, you know, from what I can tell, because I can stick my fingers and feel the depression of where the top and the bottom is. And it's not a ton, but it's a little bit. Regardless, it bleeds. I'm sure it's a torn tissue and bleeds. And so I just had been put on blood thinners. And so I was a little bit worried, and I talked to the doctor about it. And I said, look, what if I have, you know, one of those tears happens again, and I'm on blood thinners? Am I at risk of bleeding out or something like that from the gut? Because they sounded like they were very concerned about injuries and bleeding, so to be very careful. And he basically, this was not the doctor, but was one of the nurse practitioners, and he said, well, if it's a micro tear, you're probably going to be okay. And he said, and you should be able to see like a darkening under the skin, like some bruising, or even, you know, they said to watch our stool and urine to see if it starts getting dark, which would indicate blood in the abdomen. But he said, I don't think it's anything like you would bleed out within an hour or something just ridiculous like that. So that's good. He alleviated some of my fear, but it's a concern. So, you know, I don't know if the abdominal fix that was there from years ago is the last time I had an MRI done, my surgeon said that it was still holding, and so we didn't want to consider surgery on it until it got worse. Well, this most recent damage is a little worse. I don't know if it's worse enough to even consider surgery again. And if whatever he says to do, I'm fine with his decision. These guys are smarter than me and deal with patients all the time. But it's just another thing that'll be on my shoulders of, you know, now I got to worry about, I don't want to hurt or injure myself to be cut. I'll be on blood thinners for at least a year. During this year, I need to be super careful with stress and weight bearing and load bearing so that I don't injure my hernia further. So it's a lot of stuff to juggle, man. And you know, I'm making lifestyle changes. I'm reducing my intake of coffee. I'll make another video about how coffee raises cholesterol, because I've got every one of my friends are like, dude, how were you the person who had a heart attack? Because I eat vegetarian, pescatarian actually, and relatively healthy, but there's a lot of things that have happened that make me speculate why I had a heart attack. Some of the things are obvious, but some of them aren't. So anyways, I've got a lot of stuff to juggle on top of all that. So the blood thinner, it's got me, a little concerned, but I have to have it. If I don't know if I explained this in my earlier video, but since I had the blockage removed from the angiogram, plasty, whatever it's called, that blockage, some of it they removed and it was captured and pulled or cleared or whatever. And then the other, some of it fell down like debris into my veins, and they could have gone places and lodged up here, lodged up there. And this is what's responsible for my prolonged heart attacks that I was having that were so painful while I was still in the hospital. And I guess my body sorted it out. I don't know. What do you do? Just wait until it deals with that? Either way, the doctor said, you're on tons of 3 blood thinners now, so any clots you really don't have to worry about. And I'm like, well, I mean, that sounds good on paper, but what if some of those clots that were already formed go to a spot like my leg or lungs or brain and, you know, create problems? So it's just a lot to deal with. I know that as the days go by, it'll get easier and easier to manage, but then there's a whole list of new problems, and I've got a couple of side effects from taking these extra medicines. And this video is creeping up to 6 minutes, so I'll just pretty much conclude that here. But the long story short is that I'm going to do what I'm told to do, continue to rehab the heart, keep walking. It's still cold here where I live, so I've got my jacket on. I wish the sun would come back out. I'll make the next video I'll make will be based on these side effects from some of this medicine and what I'm doing to deal with it. So yeah.